Hi, it's Heather. Welcome to Herbs for Musicians. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a marshmallow tincture. Now when you think marshmallow, you're probably thinking of candy, but I am speaking about a plant, of course, a flowering plant. Marshmallow is easy to grow. It actually has very beautiful white flowers, but right now I'm not able to grow my own, so I ordered some marshmallow from Mountain Rose Herbs, and here I have a pound of marshmallow leaf. You can also use marshmallow root, but today we're going to be talking about the leaf. I bought so much because my husband and I use marshmallow every day in a tincture along with mullein and goldenrod that helps us with our allergies. And I have personally had several times where I've had an allergy attack, a full-on allergy attack with runny nose, runny eyes, itching, and all of that. And I take the tincture and it stops. But it can also be used as an everyday allergy remedy. So we use a lot of it. So I try to make a large batch of tincture at one time. So this is a pound. I am using the leaf, like I said, and the first thing that we're going to do is measure out the herbs that we need. Now, in my last video, I talked about why I use the ratio method for making my herbal preparations. And it is because I want to get the best possible herbal product. Now, a pound is equal to 454 grams. I am going to need 400 of this amount, right? Just 400 grams. But instead of measuring out 400, I'm going to measure out 54 so that I don't have overflowing. I'm just going to set those other 54 grams aside for something else, probably a tea. I have a scale here that can measure grams. It also measures other things like ounces and fluid ounces and so forth, but I'm going to set it so that it is on grams. And now that I've had my bowl on here, I'm going to set it to 0 or put it. You press the tare button, it sets it back to 0. So I'm going to measure out 54 grams of the marshmallow leaf and set that aside so I can use the remaining 400. Marshmallow is very fluffy. So this pound of leaf that's why the bag is so big. It's because it's so fluffy. Every pound of herbs, doesn't matter what kind of herb you get, a pound is equal to 454 grams. But depending on what kind of herb it is, a pound might be a much smaller bag. Like if you have a bark or a root, those will be much more dense. So the pound of herbs will be much, a smaller bag. Okay, so this is 54 grams. I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to take the rest of this marshmallow leaf and I am going to powder it as much as I can. There's only so small you can get herbs in your home kitchen, but I'm going to put it through my blender and put that powdered herb into another bowl. So you know how blenders work, so I will be back when I've got this all powdered up. All right, I have powdered up my marshmallow leaf. It's not really tiny, but it is smaller than it was. So this will allow more surface area to come into contact with the liquid, which is going to make my preparation, my tincture, stronger. So I do feel that this helps improve the quality of my herbal product. Now, marshmallow is just a wonderful herb that every herbalist should have on hand. It's a bit of a supporting herb. It's very mild acting, but it works really, really well. It has demulcent and emollient properties. The demulcent is a moistening property and a soothing property. So if you have an irritated sinuses or irritated lungs, this is really good. And the leaf is particularly useful for the respiratory system. So like I said, my husband and I use this for our allergies, but if you have a cold, or, you know, in my husband's case, he has asthma, and this helps to keep his lungs from being irritated all the time. So that really helps support him in his health. Another thing about the emollient, it helps to soften and smooth out muscles. So it helps to soften and smooth out tissues. So that's another way it's useful. It's also an expectorant. So if you do have a cough, if you have gunk in your lungs, then the marshmallow will help to get it out. So all around, very, very good for the respiratory system. A tincture is made with alcohol. The alcohol is in the liquid that is used to extract the herbs. And certain constituents of herbs are better extracted with alcohol. Some are better with water, some are better with vinegar. So you have to know what you're working with. And with the marshmallow, what I'm going to use is a liquid that is 75% water and 25% alcohol. Now, normally, I would really like to use 190 proof alcohol, which is almost 100%. That would make the math very easy. But unfortunately, I cannot get 190 proof alcohol in my state. So I have to use 100 proof alcohol, which is going to require a little more math. So I have already done the math, and I'm going to be running an herbal course over the summer. And if you take that course with me, I will provide charts for you with all the math done so that you would know exactly how much of each type of liquid you need in order to work with the herbs you're working with. So say you wanted to make a marshmallow tincture, I would tell you, if you are using this much marshmallow, you need this much liquid, and it needs to have this exact amount of alcohol and this exact amount of water to make that tincture. So you do not have to do all the math yourself, because I will have already done it for you. But for today's video, I'm going to tell you that for every gram of marshmallow leaf, I need 5 mLs of liquid. So I have 400 grams of marshmallow leaf in my bowl, so I need 2,000 mLs of my liquid. And of course that needs to be 75% water, 25% alcohol. So 2,000 mLs, 1/4 of that is 500. And in order to get 500 mLs of alcohol, I need 1,000 mLs of my 100 proof alcohol. So this alcohol right here is 50% alcohol. You can use whatever kind of alcohol you want as long as it has the percentage of alcohol you need. But I prefer to just stick with the neutral flavored alcohol. So this is just a plain vodka. I probably did not spend very much money on it because we're not here for the taste of the alcohol. We're here for the herbs. So it doesn't matter. You can get cheap stuff. So I need 1,000 mLs of this to get 500 of the alcohol. I have a 1 cup measure here. 1 cup is equal to 250 mLs. So to get 1,000 mLs, I need 4 of these. But I also happen to have a 4 cup measure here. So I'm just gonna fill this up to the 4 cup line. All right, so I'm just gonna pour that in here because I need to now get the rest of my liquid, the rest of the 1,000 mLs. So I happen to have 1 quart of water here. So this is plain water. So this is gonna give me the rest of my 75% water. All right. When you're making so much at once, the trick is to find the containers you need to hold everything. So, but I've got it all. So I'm just gonna swish that around. Water and alcohol mix together very easily, so I don't need to do much with that. Okay. So 2,000 mLs of liquid, 500 of them are alcohol, 1,500 are water, so I have my 75% water, 25% alcohol liquid, and now I need to get this into my marshmallow leaf so that it all gets wet. I like to use my hands, it's easier, so I'm just gonna kind of stir this in. Some of the powder is fluffing up. So you kind of have to mix it a little bit to get all the leaf wet. So I'm just gonna, again, mash this around with my hands a bit, kind of dig from the bottom to pull up anything that's not been moistened yet. Depending on the herb, sometimes you might have quite a bit of liquid kind of that it doesn't absorb as much, but with the leaf herbs, the liquid can absorb quite a bit. So you see there's really no liquid on top of this. It's all soaked into the herbs, and that's totally fine. How it works really depends on the qualities of the herb. But if you follow the ratios, you'll be just fine. I also find that because I powdered the herbs first, that it's a lot easier to get the liquid and the herbs to go together nicely. Okay, so that is all moistened, and I have right here just a big jar that I'm gonna put this in. And this is just gonna sit on the shelf. Whoops, I made a little bit of a mess. I probably should have brought my funnel over, but I didn't. This will sit on the shelf for 6 to 8 weeks, and then it will be ready to be squeezed out, and the tincture will be ready to use. So when I finish this, I'll be back for the next step. Okay, so this is a gallon size jar. I do order them because, you know, I don't eat too many pickles. You can get gallon size jars actually rather inexpensively if you buy a gallon of pickles like at Walmart. And I do like pickles, but I don't eat so many that I can get all my gallon size jars from there. But I like them because I can easily fit my hand in the top. And so I had to push this down a little bit, but the whole entire pound of marshmallow leaf fit into this jar. I'm just going to put the lid on. It's very important to label your herbal preparations because it's very hard to identify this, and you might forget in a couple of weeks what you've made. And if you've made a couple of them that are green like this, you might not know which is which. So it's very important to label. So I'm going to label this Marshmallow Tincture, and I also put the date on so that I know when it is ready. So today is February 16th. So now I don't use anything fancy. These are just address labels, and I use a Sharpie and I just stick them on, and then this will go on the shelf over there. Now I do happen to have a small amount of marshmallow tincture that I had made a couple of months ago, and it's ready to strain. Now this was just something that I had a small amount of marshmallow left over from something, and I said, you know what, I should tincture that up. So I'm going to scrape this out and show you how I do it. So what I like to do is I just like to squeeze out the marshmallow with my hands because I find it easier to get all the liquid out when I squeeze it by hand rather than, say, pressing on it with a spoon. And I just have a strainer right here that's gonna let the liquid go through. I'm only gonna get a little bit of tincture from this small amount of marshmallow. Okay, so I have squeezed out the liquid from my marshmallow leaf tincture, and this is what I have left. I'm going to put that in a jar. Okay. And there you go. I'm gonna label this, and I'm not gonna label it right now because this hand has to get washed first. My hands are very messy. But once it is labeled, I'm gonna put this on the shelf, and this is called a simple because I only have marshmallow in this tincture. And like I said in my last video on arnica oil, I like to work with all my herbs separately, and then later on I will mix them. So for this one, I mentioned that I like to blend this with mullein and goldenrod. So I will have a marshmallow tincture, a mullein tincture, and a goldenrod tincture, and then later on I will blend them all together. So here's my marshmallow tincture, and please let me know if you have any questions. Leave them in the comments. If you would like my free guide, 14 Herbs Musicians Need Now, please go to the link in the show notes. And if you are interested in being part of my online course this coming summer on herbs for musicians, that's going to help you to stay healthy, avoid most colds and flus and other viruses, reduce pain and inflammation, improve mood and focus, reduce anxiety and stress. Herbs can help with all of that. So they're really, really great for musicians. I'm going to be running this course in the summer because summer is often a downtime for musicians. It's a great time to get ahead with any herbal preparations you might need starting in the fall. So if you're interested, go to the link below and sign up. You will get the free guide, but then you'll also be on my email list so that you can get announcements of when registration opens. Each week I do send out a brief email focusing on an herbal word of the week that gives bite-sized information on different herbal words you need to know that will help you with your herbal understanding. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Share it with anybody who you think might also find it helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.